Hello and welcome back to the Made of Me show. I'm Abhishek Gaur.
And I'm Anushka Mechandani.
Today we are extremely excited to sit alongside someone who has not only fought but paved her way for hundreds and thousands of people like us who want to be bloggers, vloggers, influencers, social media personalities. She is the true pioneer of when it comes to lifestyle blogging, especially in India, and someone who's not only changed how we consume the content but also has transformed her content when it goes from makeup, beauty, Bollywood, and so much more. Using her platform, her voice, her vision, her followers to not only discuss but to actively work towards changes in our society with her Girl Tribe community, which has been life-changing for countless women.
Absolutely.
She is a top digital influencer, TV host, entrepreneur, author, dog mom, and so much more. So it is our great honor to welcome onto the Made of Me show, Miss Malini, also Malini Agarwal.
Oh wow, what a great intro. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
a
for
little
having me.
throwback for backstory a little bit that people don't know. I was very fortunate that in 2020, during lockdown, where there were live sessions happening on the Miss Malini page, I was one of the very lucky artists who got to perform on that. And
I remember that.
4 years ago, if someone had come down after the show and been like, "Hello बेटा, 4 साल में तुम्हारा शो होगा और उस पे मिस मालिनी आएंगी," I'm like, झूठ मत बोल, ऐसा झूठ नहीं बोल. So I feel personally also very grateful that something I couldn't have imagined then is
But
just
it's amazing. It's amazing to see everything that you guys are doing. I love the fact that like you're so self-sufficient. We were just talking about, and it's a really nice vibe. So I'm really happy to be here.
thank you so much.
Thank you. And we're gonna just jump into asking you
Yeah.
about your life and how you
Sure.
got to be here. Starting off as a radio personality back in the 2000s, when TV and radio were the two most significant forms of media and knowledge consumption. What experiences led you to create a path that not only no one had done before, but probably only a few would have imagined to do?
You know, I wasn't doing it on purpose. First of all, I'll be very honest with you because there was no concept of social media influencer or content creator. And just to put it into context, when I started 15 years ago, there was no Instagram also. So it was a very different world. For me, I actually started off when I was a radio jockey. My radio station, Radio 1, was owned by the midday newspaper. So I, 17 years ago, used to write a gossip column called Malini's Mumbai. And I think I've always liked the alliteration. And I remember very clearly, it was like somewhere in the year 2008, in May, I was on holiday in Dubai with some friends. And I was telling them that, you know, I go to all these really cool things and I write about music and art and celebrities and everything. But when it comes to the paper, it just gets chopped off because there's not enough space. And he said, my friend Karan Wadera said, "Why don't you start a blog?" And I remember saying, "What's a blog?" And he said, "It's like this online diary." And I said, "Who reads it?" He goes, "Don't worry." And he made me a login. And I still remember it was May 5th, 2008. I wrote my first blog. And I remember that it wasn't even MISSMALINI.com. It was www.wordpress.missmalini.com. It's one of those $8 a month kind of subscriptions. Because I never thought it was going to become what it became. I think it was right time, right place. And I think it just goes to show, you know, nowadays it's not even so much the medium. It's if you have something interesting and unique to say and you have a voice and you have a personality behind it, there's any medium works.
Absolutely.
So when you started off as a radio jockey, now as you mentioned, there was no Instagram back then. So it's completely different because now radio jockeys all around the world, they put their face to the voice. So we as consumers, when we're listening in the car, we also know हम किसकी आवाज़ सुन रहे हैं. But back then when this did not happen and you transitioned into a media personality where people not only know your voice but they know your name, they start to know your face. At what point did you recognize that your voice holds a power? Your voice is a voice of reason. When did you realize that?
You know, it's something really interesting. Who, you know, the MD of the radio station, Tariq Ansari, always used to tell us one thing. He said, the theater of the mind is so powerful. Because if you think about it, even if aap 6 jan ho and you're sitting in a car and you're listening to the radio, everyone's having a very personal experience. So which is why before you could see your radio jockeys, when you imagine someone, you would always imagine the best looking, you know, everyone always says face for radio, but because people in their mind imagine the most attractive person, just that's why the movie is never as good as the book, because what you have imagined. So I think the power of the medium of audio was the fact that you can connect with millions of people. But the true connection is that you're actually speaking to millions of people, but connecting with them very individually. It's almost like one-on-one. And that's the advice I was given when I started, when I was a radio jockey for over 9 years, was that when you're doing your show, don't broadcast to the full city. Imagine you're talking to your best friend, but with a little more enthusiasm. And that's literally the same concept I took to the blog. Instead of writing my articles as if, like in third person or vaguely that who came, I wrote about it more from as if I was writing like emails to my best friend. So the voice, the tone, everything was very personal. And if you read my blog or even my books, I write just like I speak. So a lot of people say I can hear your voice in what I write. And I think that's really what makes the connection. But even back then, I remember I used to, at that time before it was X, it was Twitter. And Twitter had just started. It was like 2009 or something. And somebody told me you should try it. And I remember the first tweet I had put out was that, hey, I write a blog called MISSMALINI.com and you can listen to me on the radio. And the crazy thing about this whole world is that there's another RJ called Mihir Joshi, who's been a radio jockey for very long. One day he had tagged Imran Khan in a tweet saying, hey, you like English music, so you should listen to Malini's show. That's when I was doing a 9 to midnight show. Okay. And I never thought anything about it. I replied just as a joke saying, hey, Imran Khan, why don't you come host the show with me? Just never in a billion years thinking, reply aayega, nothing. And he replied and he said, if you let me call the show Pirate Radio, I'll come. And he came. That's my first brush with celebrity, 2009. He came to the studio. He sat with me for 3 hours. I still couldn't believe. And this is when his movies had just come out. He was a big deal. Yeah. And he was just sitting there. And my rule was that whatever I do, whichever actor comes in, I'm not going to talk about Bollywood. We're going to talk about his favorite 40 English songs. And we played the songs and we chatted. And even when the mics were off, we're chatting. And I remember I burned him a CD of this. And I asked him why pirate radio. And he said it's because when radio had first started in the UK, they were not allowed to broadcast on land. They couldn't play rock music on land. So they used to have to put the radio station on a boat in the water, which is no man's land, so they could broadcast from there and the police wouldn't catch them. So it was called pirate radio, like a pirate ship. And I thought that was such a cool concept. And then I was like, okay, if this works, I Facebooked DM'd Farhan Akhtar. And I said, will you come on my show? Now today, it would never happen that you DM, it'll end up in some other's box. But this was the time when it was all new. And he replied and he came on the show. Then Rahul Khanna replied and came on the show. And this was all through the power of social media. So, and I used to take little video clips. You'll still see my YouTube account from back then. There's little videos of them sitting across from me and I'm using this little digital camera. This is before phones could take video. And little clips of all these guys in the radio station with me. So it's all sort of come full circle. But I never would have thought.
Just continuing on what you had said, like these instances of where these people are coming to your show, it must have been so, as you said, like just, you can't believe that that was happening.
It's like a mind-blowing, like pinch me moment.
And from there to transition onto a platform as Miss Malini is now on Instagram, where to say that it's an entertainment platform is to really cut it short, because it's so much more. We're not only getting entertained, but we're learning things about ourselves, our community, our cultures, but then it's also very modern day journalism as well, because it does give the day-to-day news and everything that's happening in the celebrity gossip. It's a lot about how you said you started your blog, how it's on this. When did you decide, in a sense of ki nahi ab to social media pe chadna padega, because Insta is the next thing, because these things happen in India a lot later?
Of course. I think what happened is, and this is really actually quite a funny story, is that when I was part of the first .com wave, when I used to work at mtvindia.com, I used to run all their romance content. A lot of people don't know this, but I was channel head romance and sexuality. I used to write all the love line questions and the answers. I used to write Nikhil Chinnappa's scripts. I used to run the website for it. And at that time, there was no social media. And that was in 2003 when all these websites came up and then they burst. The .com bubble burst because nobody could connect anything. Yeah. So everyone was sitting in their own islands. Then you realized over time that you have to go to where the party is. And suddenly people are using social media, they're using Facebook. Used to be just a college platform to connect with other college students. Then it opened up. I remember Pia Trivedi told me, hey, you should download Facebook. I think you like it. Some other person told me you should download Twitter. This is how we used to talk about things like, there's a new app kind of thing, like back in the day. I think what's really insane is what's happened over the years is that it's just become this way of connecting. This is where you get your news and information before you get it anywhere else. It's kind of become that one go-to place. And because I have ADHD, I've forgotten your question. So you have to tell me the question.
When and how? I know you already mentioned that you were hearing from people and they were telling you to move on to
get on social media. Okay, now
but how did you push through that? Because obviously, even now, when everyone is on social media, it's still difficult to grow your social media.
It's difficult to grow. I think
but back then, I can't even imagine what it was like when you have to tell people what the app even is about.
I remember the funny thing was, there was a time when Instagram had just started. It was only for iPhone users. And I didn't have an iPhone. And I remember telling my my husband, I'm like, I need an iPhone because I want to be on Instagram. And he said, that's ridiculous. You can't buy such an expensive phone just so you could be on Instagram. And then years later, I tell him, see, if I had started earlier, what would have happened? Because nobody would have imagined. And I think that what happens is that in that world where people just look at, social media platforms, and people used to think, ki, pata nahi kya phone pe kya khel rahe hain. Nobody really took this seriously. Even for me, it took a long time. I was just talking to someone else about this. I still remember my first collab was, I think, in like 2009. I was, Levi's offered to fly me to Delhi and put me in a nice hotel and give me a pair of jeans in exchange for writing a blog. And I had to go and interview Jacqueline Fernandez, Ileana de Cruz, and Chitragada were part of the campaign. And I remember going with my camera, and this is when nothing was on one like smartphone, right? So I used to have my laptop, then I used to have my digital camera, and then my normal like Nokia handset, and all these chargers, and just like you're doing everything yourself, do everything myself. And I think that it was very, like you said, it took a while for people to understand ki hai kya? How is this even a job? My mom, it's so funny, she still for the longest time used to tell people that Malini is an internet blocker. So I was like, what does she think that means? In her mind, and she's 86 now, right? So she was like, she said, so many people, like even regular people, get so much spam. And Malini works with celebrities and she helps them block their spam because she thought blocker.
Blogger as in blocker.
Blocker. And it was so cute because there was just no concept of this. Now then over time, then you sort of start to learn and realize. But I think the real power of the medium is how quick it is. Like today, you see a celebrity, you take a picture, it goes online, it goes viral. In the past, you had to wait till the magazine came out one whole month later, or the newspaper cycle comes out, you see the paparazzi pictures the next day. I think the real benefit or the real advantage I had was that as soon as I took a picture, I would, and this is still not instantaneous, I would still go home, put in the drive,
Wait for it to
upload the picture.
Yeah. Back then, photo transfer used to take so long, even for one photo.
Even for one photo. I remember I'm the generation that had dial-up. You would wait for the sounds, you would start the dial-up, then you would go make your dinner and come back, by then you're connected.
Oh my God.
And as you said, it was how you mentioned that it's difficult to often explain, and for us also, even though now social media is a very common thing, but even for us, we have had those difficulties, maybe not with our immediate family as parents or siblings, but with our aunts and uncles. It's like, acha tum laptop pe ho to ye kaam nahi hai.
Yeah, they just think you're just playing.
And both of our fields are related to devices, because she's in social media. I've done audio engineering, so both our work happens on either on the laptop or the phone. And we have had those discussions on our show as well. Link up, check it out. But also within our communities where we are like, nahin, just because laptop
this is your mobile office.
मैं game नहीं खेल रहा हूँ. Game actually इस वाले laptop पे है. This is something else. But
so true.
What we have realized that a lot of people who are obviously much more established in the industry, such as yourself, have helped change those perceptions. So where and how do you think your content, your individual content, your impact has helped change these perceptions, especially in India, because our traditional and culture thinks slightly different.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big perception change actually wasn't so quick. I think it was actually generational. I meet so many young, like 20-year-old content creators and influencers today who say that their mothers told them that, Acha, if you want to do this, then do it the way Miss Malini did it. Like, do it like a full-time job, do a proper office, do that. Don't just take pictures and just nice pictures of you doing fun things. Like, let your content have substance. And I think that's where it took time, that over time, there's a generation that grew up with me, right? Like, I'm 47 now, and I started 15 years ago. A lot of these women or guys used to follow me, weren't married, didn't have kids. Now their kids are 15, 16 and starting their journey. So I think the change has really been showing that, okay, even if people didn't know what I did initially, they can't discount that 15 saal baad, there is something to it. The fact that you hear the brand name or you see, and people, there is a respect in the industry that, okay, Miss Malini, so a journalist has come, so you know. So I think that helped. And the other thing that I thought was a really amazing change is a lot of the people I used to hire off social media. So they would be in their early 20s. And the girls would always join the office saying that kuch salon mein meri shaadi ho jayegi and I'm going to have to, because that's just the expectation.
Yeah.
But then because they would start taking home a paycheck, the pressure was off. And the parents used to say that I'm not sure what you do, until they got their paycheck and they went home with their, paycheck and showed their parents. And then they said, oh, wow, that's amazing. You're standing on your feet. Because a lot of the perceptions also is that, in India especially, is that a girl has to get married because otherwise who's going to look after her? But if she can look after herself, That's a totally different thing. So I think that's really, and for us, I mean, it's not by like on purpose, but it just so happened that like 99% of my team was always women. I think they were just happened to be that way. And it's great to see like over the years, there's like been at least like 500 people who've worked with us. So.
That's,
God.
I mean, actually, our next question was regarding about women and the Girl Tribe, which is a wonderful online community that you started back in 2018. So women could connect and support each other and ask for advice. And it became, I think it became an especially important safe space during COVID when people couldn't meet each other and have like heart-to-heart conversations. So the online community kind of blew up around that time. But what was your driving factor for creating such a platform? Like, what was the vision behind
So again, the
this?
funny thing is now, and it all looks back in 2020 vision, it all makes sense. But at that point, what had happened is Facebook keeps doing new things, right? So Facebook groups had just launched. And because I've been working with them from before they started, like literally day one, whenever they start something new, they always get in touch with me. Like right now, they're doing stuff on Threads. So I'm doing a show with them for Threads. So they said, listen, would you like to create a group? And so I thought, like, should I do another group about Bollywood or fashion? And I remember just around that time, Women's Day had just gone by and my team had come up with this really cool concept of Girl Tribe. I really liked the name. And the other thing that was happening is that people were saying how the internet is becoming so toxic and, you know, people are so negative and girls have to deal with so much like, you know, comments or, you know, people talking about their appearance and stuff. Yeah. And I was like, but, you know, I also feel the internet has given me my whole life. So what if we did an experiment and I'm going to create a community that's only for women? Like, no offense to the boys. I mean, there's a great version of life where we have such great guys who are like you, my husband, so many people who are positive guys. Yeah. But unfortunately, in the circumstance where you put everyone together, it doesn't always play that. So I added 100 of my girlfriends and I said, look, this is going to be a group for all of us just to chat about anything and everything. And people would put up things like, okay, shopping or where should I travel or this advice. And then people started talking about very serious things. And what I realized is that sometimes it's easier to get advice from a stranger than have to say something to your immediate family, which is why you never go to your family for therapy. You go outside, right? For this same reason. So I think what was amazing about it, it just slowly grew. And now like there's 200 comments every 12 minutes and I don't even actively participate. Like it's just taken a life of its own. And I think what really happened is that we were able to show that even though people assume that everyone's really mean on the internet and everyone's really bitchy, if you create an environment where you say our values are about kindness and empathy. So if someone says something, respond with empathy. And my one rule that I created for the blog, which has kind of been my rule throughout, is never write anything you can't say to someone's face. So you will find even yourself, you know, you don't think of yourself as a bad person or a troll. But if someone is commenting, you might sometimes think I'll just lash back. But if you stop and think of this person as a human and think, would I say this if they were standing in front of me? Probably you would say it differently or you wouldn't say it at all. Yeah. So I think that's kind of where it got formed. And it's amazing to see now over the years, so many times I meet people and they're like, hey, I'm part of your tribe. And I love that because that's really created something that I really, again, didn't expect. But then when we saw where it was going, then we started creating events around it. We did something called a breakfast brave. So we would get up at 7:30 in the morning, have like juice shots and do a Bollywood dance party from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And like people were amazed that who is waking up at 7 to come and drink juice and dance. I'm like, they are. Because people just want to connect. It's not always about, you know, getting hammered or going out at night. Sometimes people just want a safe space to bond with each other.
Absolutely. I think that's just created an insane community where people can just share what they really feel.
I really love
inspiring.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so with that,
game time. I love
so sometimes we get so much like inspiration when we are sitting with someone and we both become like,
Wow.
क्या फोन लेके कर रहे हैं, वीडियो निकाल रहे हैं, रील बनाते हैं, टिकटॉक पे डांस करते हैं, हम कर क्या रहे हैं?
I feel like we're at that phase where when you started and you were like figuring things out and you just started a blog, we're like trying out so many things and we're
but there's an amazing internet sage I follow. His name is Jason Silva, and he said the most amazing thing. He said, you should there's two concepts, right? One is ikigai, the Japanese concept of finding your passion, the heart of what I love to do, what am I good at, what can I be paid to do, and what does the world need. Jason Silva said, write down 15 questions, and you should try this for yourself. Write down 15 questions of things that you're curious about or interested in. And just like that beautiful mind meme, you will see some 3-4 that have something really core in common. And that's how you kind of, formulate the core of what you should be doing. And I went to Malaysia Social Media Week, and they also came up with a great exercise. They said, find your one-word bio for you as an individual and even for your brand or your show. And think about the people you've interviewed, the books you read, the music you like, the movies you like, and try to find one word that is common to all. and that becomes your filter. So it could be like like you mentioned, energy, right? That you're very focused on making sure the energy stays right, and I can feel that in this experience. So I think it's, if you find that, then that will be your sort of your North Star guiding light, and then it'll all fall into place.
So fun exercise for everyone to try, guys.
Yeah.
Comment down below what you think your one word bio would be. Now you have to take this advice. It's from Miss Malini herself. अभी ये नहीं बोल सकते ये कौन है अभिषेक, ये क्यों बोल रहा है हमारे करने को. You have to do because she's saying it now. And with that, we'll get into game time.
So for game time, the game is called Don't Get Me Started, where
Okay.
we give you a topic and you basically, I think you're going to be really good at this game.
Yeah, we're
It's
gonna
like
use
just
this.
jab.
We're gonna use this radio voice to use.
Yes.
Yeah, no
absolutely.
pressure. It's fine.
All right.
We're going to give you a topic and you have 30 seconds to think about it, and then you have 45
90.
to
I have to keep talking about it.
Yeah.
You just keep talking about it for 90 seconds.
It's like college, just a minute, we used to call it jam.
Yeah, it's just a new version.
So it can be for or against. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
say you have 90 seconds. You have to
Yep.
passionately
Talk
discuss
about it.
this
Got
topic.
it. All right. Sounds good.
So we'll give you a topic. Then you and Anushka will give me a topic.
Oh,
Yep.
nice.
And then you and I will give Anushka a topic. And then in the end, we'll see who wins. Now, so far, I must disclaim, we've done this game about 4 times.
Yeah.
I have an unbeaten record.
Ooh, challenge accepted.
But आज पहली बार धक-धक हो रहा है.
I mean, I feel like, you started off your career as a professional talker.
That's
in a way,
right,
right?
yeah,
So we're sitting with someone who.
I love what Kubra says. She calls it hashtag paid to talk.
I beat Kubra in this.
Wow.
So that's
well
a
done.
big feat of
That's-
mine.
That's
Like
huge.
कुछ भी हो जाए, I can say I out-talked Kubra.
That's big. Now I'm nervous.
So, your
You
topic?
ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so your topic is Dyson Airwrap.
Wow.
So you have 30 seconds to think about it.
Got it.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
It's kind of crazy that you're asking me about the Dyson Airwrap, because I kid you not, right after I finish this, I'm going home to shoot a reel about the new Dyson Airwrap. It's one of the things that I love about Dyson. One, all the products are so cool and they sort of have that nice flex and fit and they're pretty. But for someone like me, I don't wake up like this. So I need someone to do my hair and makeup constantly. But I really feel like products that Dyson makes, especially like the hair products, they're really easy to use. Also, I'm super clumsy, so I will always burn myself if I have like a tong or a heat, or I never know how to do that. But with the Dyson, it's because it's just air. So it actually is really fun and easy to use. I also love that it comes in so many colors. I think they're super clever about how they market their products. They also have another product, which is like the headphones, which actually during COVID had a mask attached to it for a while, which was really cool. It's very like from the future. So I really wonder sometimes, like, what do the people sitting at Dyson sit and do? And I think it really brings me back to the idea of good branding, which Apple does really well. You know, when you have the Apple, the socket has to click and everything has that. I think it's really about that functionality where they start a brand from the perspective of what will the consumer love about it? What is the experience going to be like? It's not really just about functionality. Also, they have most of their products in the color purple. I don't know if you know this about the color purple, but the color purple doesn't actually exist. The color purple is a figment of our imagination, and that's why most royalty likes to use the color purple, because it's not actually real. So if you look at most products that are purple, just like the Dyson Airwrap, it's actually a very unique thing.
Oh my god! So that ends this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I mean, we don't like giving free shoutouts to Dyson, but guys, maybe reel banane ke liye ek bhej do. We want to buy. Currently, we are also in that. How your husband said, "Na iPhone so expensive for
I
this."
know.
We are also like, yeah, video banayenge अच्छा होगा, but Dyson for a video we'll spend. But, oh my god, that okay. Anushka needs to go next. I'm not going next. Anushka needs to
What
go
topic are we giving her?
we can give something related to her silver pants.
I think maybe why don't you on the topic of what is personal style?
What is personal style? Oh, okay.
Do we talk about her personal style or just in
She can let her. She can go for it. I'll give her enough.
So your personal
room.
style.
My personal style.
You know, think?
Ooh, I think
I think she's ready. Look, she's so stylish.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna think as I go along.
Nice.
So 3, 2, 1, start.
Okay, so personal style is obviously unique to each and every person. obviously. Personally, there are so many different items of clothing that suddenly in today's generation you can use in so many different ways. Like, for example, you can wear this shirt in 15 different ways if you reverse it, put the buttons down the back. That's a new way to wear it. It's evolved so much over the years, where we used to have a different style in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. But personally speaking, for my personal style, I think I'm a very vibrant, extravagant kind of person. I definitely want to show off my personality when I dress, hence the silver pants. But yeah, the great thing about personal style is it can boost your confidence. If you feel like fashion is something that helps you be who you are, you can use clothes to show that. And obviously, people use makeup and clothes to do that. But it'll help you boost your confidence in a way that other things can't. Maybe it'll help you talk better when you're on stage, or even if you're not in front of the camera, but you're wearing something nice that makes you feel good. You're just suddenly a whole new person. And the one thing about confidence that I feel like I always say is nobody can really know if it's real or fake. So if you have your clothes on and you feel like you're, ready to kind of take on the world, but you're still super nervous inside, your clothes can help you find a voice and give you a voice. My go-to thing, I think, would say is high heels. I absolutely love high heels. I have a lot of high heels. Mostly my mom's. These are also my mom's. So shout out to mom. But yeah, that is my absolute favorite product.
Yay, good job. You did a great job.
Shout out to Sapna Aunty, please follow.
More shoes.
More shoes. Yeah, more shoes and more rooms for shoe racks.
Okay, what topic should we give? I think we should give him an emo topic.
Oh God.
Yeah. I think the topic should be, what is the way to a woman's heart?
Ooh. Oh, I think I like that one. Yes, 100%.
I'm actually having to think first time. I've had topics from Fiji water to Spanish latte, and then now I'm like, मैं क्या बोलूं? क्या सही होगा? क्या गलत होगा? What do I say?
All the best.
A way to a woman's heart. Now I feel like this could be a tricky topic, because main point of discussion in this, where a lot of guys do stumble, is they're like, first I want to understand her mind, then only I can understand her heart. I'm like, abhi dimag hi nahi samajh aa raha, because they think so differently, and people always think she thinks differently, I'm out. But you have to realize that difference is the best part. We grow up as guys so differently. Our hearts are like very basic in our these things. यार गाड़ी हो, बाइक हो, दोस्त हो, क्रिकेट हो, कुत्ता हो, हम खुश हैं, हमारे को कुछ नहीं चाहिए. But the woman's mind is very complex. It's very different. There's layers. There's different layers in her love as well. And I'm grateful that I know that because of my mother. My mother has shown me different layers of love. I've seen love in the house in different layers. So when it comes to how to get a woman's heart, I'm seeing it way beyond the scope of romantic relationships. I'm seeing it just in terms of respect and love in the heart, because the layers are so many. I mean, like, I know you love me in so many different layers, and then sometimes I feel like, yaar, itna pyar koi kaise kar sakta hai kisi se? And then I'm thinking, yaar, how is it possible that I am lucky enough to be in this situation? But then I'm like, yaar, मैं भी तो ठीक ही हूँ यार, कोई देखा तो होगा ही इसने कि प्यार कर रही है. But then when you ask me how to get to the woman's heart, I feel like I'll keep it very simple. You must respect yourself first of all. A lot of guys start going into that tangent of नहीं मैं ये करूँगा impress करने के लिए वो करूँगा. If you respect yourself, you hold yourself to high morals and high standards. Not only women, people in your life will also love and respect you the same way.
Well done. Wow. I feel like he could have said more. His time was up, so he's done. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Abhishek __ on Instagram. No DMs, it's all blocked by.
I love it.
So that wraps up our game time. Don't get me started. I'm not gonna really discuss on who won. I'm just gonna.
I think we all won.
Together we are winners as one.
Yes.
I am honorary girl tribe for today.
Yay!
Thank you very much.
Definitely.
And with that, we'll get into our last segment where we'll ask you some quick questions. This is not a coffee. It is not a copy from a coffee-related show, Coffee with Someone. This is not a copy of that.
Not at all.
But it does so happen to be called Rapid Fire.
All right.
Ready?
Yes.
Your favorite moment from your time as an RJ?
Oh man, I think it has to be the Imran Khan 3 hours where he sat across from me. I still find it hard to believe. And when we finished our 15-year anniversary, he was there to celebrate. So it was a full circle.
One piece of advice you would give to aspiring influencers, bloggers, vloggers?
I think the best piece of advice I can give is Don't be in competition with anyone else, but be in competition with who you were yesterday.
A woman in your life who's inspired you.
So many, but I think that my sister is my hero. She is 59 years old, full legend, full rock star. She's coming to spend 2 weeks in Bombay and then we're going to the Maldives. It's going to be a blast.
Amazing.
क्या आपके टूथपेस्ट में नमक है?
अब पता नहीं हो सकता.
A Bollywood actor or actress that still gives you the fangirl feeling.
Amir Khan, hands down, for sure.
Next rising star in Bollywood.
I think there are insane amounts of stars, but I have seen the entire cast of Class, and I think there's something really special about all of them, especially Zayn, Aisha, Shayan, Piyush. There's something really special about all of them. They're so unique, so young, but so talented. And another one is Nasruddin Shah's son, Vivan.
Someone you wish to collaborate with, alive or dead. Anybody.
I think I still, I've not had a sit down with Amir Khan. I've interviewed everyone from Shah Rukh to Amitabh Bachchan. He's the one left.
Your top 3 Bollywood movies that you would recommend as a must watch.
Andaz Apna Apna for sure. I think K3G because it's one of those, I know it's so funny. I went to a
Pillars of
friend's,
Bollywood.
went to a friend's wedding and I said, what are you doing the night before the wedding? She goes, my whole family is watching K3G and crying before I get married tomorrow. So one of those iconic ones. And I think you just have to watch one of the OGs, like a Sholay or Satte Pe Satta, something that is like from way back when. Anything that has some reincarnation, like Karan Arjun types.
3 words you would use to describe your fashion sense.
Cute, comfortable, and bedazzled.
Last question. If you could, in 20-25 seconds, if you had to introduce our show in your radio voice, how would that sound like?
So, ladies and gentlemen, the Made of Me show is a show that's really unexpected. It's going to unpack a little happy, shiny energy and bring a burst of sunshine to your day. You don't really know what to expect or who to expect, but one thing you can be sure of that you're going to get a really nice, warm, mushy, warm feeling when you listen to this show.
अब ये रील देखो 2 साल तक रोज पोस्टर नहीं है.
I'll grow more real.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being a
Thank
part
you.
of
I really
this.
enjoyed
This has
this.
been a very insightful episode, a very for us motivational episode as well, because
Absolutely.
learning from what you have seen, what you've been through, what you've grown to become, I think it's just like we would feel all right.
Yay! Well, I'm really
motivating
excited
us.
for you guys, and you guys are doing a great job. And हमारी तरफ से हाँ.
So before we wrap up, there's
Yeah.
one ritual of our show
Okay.
where we end by saying one thing that we are grateful for. It can be something very small, very insignificant, like our traffic nahi mila, or it can be something major as well. So we'll start with you.
Grateful for so many things. I think I'm really grateful for the fact that I get to do this every day for the last 15 years, and I hope to do it for 15 more years, not days.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I feel like I've said this a few times, but I'm just grateful for sometimes things just fall into place and you don't have to force it. So I'm grateful that for me things fall into place when I imagine them, when I just put it out into the universe. I'm grateful that the universe listens to me, and I hope I keep doing the things that makes it pleased with me. So I'm just grateful for that.
Amazing.
Mine is a bit of a random one, but I've taken a lot of flights in the last 2 weeks. I'm just grateful for the whole concept of taking flights.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for that, then we wouldn't, because we've been in a long distance relationship,
Yeah.
so if it wasn't for flights, we wouldn't be able to meet as
Each other.
often.
That's true.
Grateful for flights.
I have to make you guys do something. It's a psychoanalysis technique that I use as an icebreaker with friends. There's no wrong answers, but I'm going to ask you both to imagine 3 things. And then I'm going to tell you what it means. Okay? So we'll start with, now both of you, you can keep your eyes open or closed. Picture a cube, C-U-B-E. Okay? Any texture, any color, any size. Okay? Got it? You would have imagined something. Now imagine somewhere in relation to this cube, there is a ladder. What is the ladder made of? Is it touching the cube in any way? Okay, you'll have pictured something. There's no wrong answers. Now finally imagine, and there's no gravity suspension of disbelief here. Imagine a horse enters this picture. What does the horse look like? What is it doing? How do you feel about it? And finally, imagine a storm comes. What, if anything, happens to the cube, the ladder, and the horse? Now I will start with you because we're not doing ladies first for a change. Describe your cube.
So my cube was a very like a glass cube,
Yeah.
massive in size, maybe
Transparent?
transparent, completely transparent, maybe 8-9 times my height. So
Yeah.
I'm 6 foot, so just
Yeah.
60 foot,
Yeah.
10 times
Okay.
my height. The ladder was, at first I imagined the ladder to be same height as the cube.
Okay.
But once you mentioned horse, it kind of morphed into my head. So the horse is now half the size of the cube,
Okay.
and the ladder is basically to help me get on
Get
the horse.
On top, okay.
On top of the horse. And with the storm, the only in my difference was that the horse came inside the cube and the ladder fell.
Amazing. All right. You describe yours and I'll tell you what it means.
I imagined an ice cube.
Right.
How
How big? How small?
It was just a black space and an
Yeah,
ice
ice
cube.
cube,
I don't
yeah.
think I was present there anywhere.
Yeah, that's
No, I
fine.
wasn't there.
Yeah, yeah.
But the ladder, I imagined a rope
Yeah,
ladder just from the
interesting.
top of the ice cube to the bottom. It was like
Yeah.
not a normal size ice cube, but
Yeah.
relative to the room,
Room.
it was just
Yeah.
the center of attention. And I love horses, so I imagined a brown color horse named Chestnut. Yeah.
Yes,
And
my
what
horse
was
was
your horse
also
like?
brown,
Yeah.
and the ladder was like a wooden ladder, but like
Yeah.
very antique,
Antique.
rusty wooden
Yeah,
ladders
yeah.
like that. Like
Yeah.
उसमें चढ़ने में डर लगेगा.
And what happens when the storm came in yours?
Nothing.
Nothing. Everything's still. So what's fascinating, I've done this with thousands of people, and try this with your friends and family. So I'll message you some days. People always the next day ask me what's after the cube ladder. I'll tell you what it means. And first I'll describe mine. Mine was a giant purple furry cube. Over time, I realized it wasn't a cube at all. It was a Muppet pretending to be a cube, and then it opened its eyes. The ladder was leaning on the cube made of wood, and my horse wasn't a real horse. It was like a statue, like a gold stallion, like, like an award in this impossible pose. And when the storm came, the ladder whipped around the cube, and nothing else happened, and just the fur of the cube moved in the wind. The cube is your ego, how you see yourself and how you think the outside world perceives you, which is super interesting, right? Like little things you'll notice, like center of attention, clear room. When you said didn't see myself there,
Yeah.
it's because it's part of your imagination.
Yeah.
Like you said, transparent, your open book, all of that. The ladder is your relationship with your friends. So are they leaning on you? What it's made of, it's so interesting. The horse is your significant other. Or if you're not with someone, the kind of
So
person
for
you'd like
me,
to
the
be
horse
with.
came inside
like
the
Disney
cube.
horse.
So
And
it's like, God
the
damn.
storm is how you deal with adversity. So like you said, nothing happened. And with yours, the horse came
ladder
inside.
fell.
I've heard so many cases where the horse has run, eaten the ice cube, eaten the sugar cube. But it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because if I asked you the same questions, how do you perceive yourself, your relationship with your friends, we have so much baggage to ever answer this authentically.
Yeah.
But I think it's a fun exercise. You should try it with your
definitely
friends and
fun
family.
Wow.
That was really fun.
And see, obviously we know each other.
Yeah.
So
you
once
can
you
see, yeah.
explain it,
It makes
her
sense.
answers make so much more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It does.
yeah, and I'm sure mine also.
Yeah, yours also. I feel like for me, because if I get scared, I run to
You run,
him.
yeah.
But in my scenario,
It's
he
stillness,
doesn't.
yeah.
He
Yeah.
doesn't change.
Because in
Things.
my head, when you said storm comes,
Yeah.
my first impulse was, I must protect the,
The
horse.
horse.
Like it has to go
And what's
inside the
interesting
cube.
is I didn't give you any context.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is what.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what's so interesting about psychoanalysis. There must be someone, I don't know the science behind it, but there must be some reason that certain things are aligned to,
And
right
it's so
brain, left
funny
brain.
you mentioning this. How I'm just connecting it more now. You said ladders are friends.
Yeah.
I said the ladder is the size of the horse,
Horse,
so
and
that
then-
I can climb the horse.
Yeah.
We met at a mutual friend's party.
There you go.
And our first year of relationship was only meeting with our friends.
friends.
Yeah.
Purely strict parents. So this
Yeah.
जब तक सब ठीक होता है कि
ठीक हो
हाँ
जाए.
ठीक है लड़का ठीक है ये लंबे बाल दाढ़ी टैटू वाले ठीक है.
My parents were like, no.
No, but I also think it's so interesting. Like very rarely I've ever heard rope ladder. And it's so interesting. And as you think about it more, it'll make sense to you. And that's why I love this, because it gives you a little food for thought.
Yeah.
But fun exercise to do.
Amazing. So now two things you guys have to try.
Yeah, tell us.
First is the
Yeah.
one
One
name,
word bio.
one word
Yeah.
bio, and then this game.
Yeah.
You guys have to try it out. And once again, thank you so much
My
for
pleasure.
being here. Make sure you
Thanks for
like,
having me.
comment, subscribe. Good stuff for the good stuff.
Yeah.
Notification bell so you don't miss out more fun episodes. All social media, everything linked everywhere. Miss Malini. Social media, Malini Agarwal.
sure
She has
follow
so many pages. तो मैं screen पे actually डाल नहीं पाऊंगा. It'll be down in the description. Abhishek __ Anushka Mirchandani with 2 eyes. The Me Dummy Show, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and
Don't forget, we're here for you today
tomorrow.
and every day after that.
I love it. So cute. All right.